The weight of certainty. They burned the saint 3 days before I understood what the Inquisition truly was. I had served the Ordo Hereticus for 42 years, investigated corruption on 17 worlds, exposed 3 chaos cults before they could summon their abominations, saved billions through decisive action. I believed in the work, believed that every execution I authorized was a tumor cut from humanity's flesh before it could metastasize. The Emperor protects, and I was his scalpel. Then I met Celestine Varro, and everything I thought I knew about certainty began to crack. My name is Inquisitor Hadrian Vex, and this is how I learned that righteousness and correctness are not the same thing. The summons came during morning prayers on Meridian Thera, a world of scolums and scriptoriums, where the ecclesiarchy trained its most promising theologians. The kind of place where heresy should be impossible, the kind of place where it was therefore most dangerous. The message was brief, 11 words on sanctified parchment, potential saint manifestation, investigation required, authority granted, proceed with extreme caution. I took my interrogator Carius and 3 stormtroopers. We traveled light. The administratum briefing described spontaneous healings, impossible endurance, and claims of divine visions. Standard religious fervor, most likely. Meridian Theta bred zealots the way hive worlds bred gangers. But protocol demanded investigation. The line between saint and daemon, touched, was measured in degrees of corruption invisible to the faithful. The journey took 14 days. I spent them reviewing theological texts on confirmed saints. Sebastian Thor, Celestine, Sabbat, Euphrati Keeler from the ancient days. The pattern was consistent. They appeared during humanity's darkest hours, manifested impossible abilities, and changed the course of wars through sheer conviction. But, for every true saint in the records, there were 12 false ones. 12 manifestations that looked like miracles until you scratched the surface and found the warp's fingerprints underneath. I had burned 4 of those false saints myself. Each time, the cultists had screamed that I was killing the faithful. Each time, autopsies revealed mutation, psychic corruption, subtle signs of possession. Each time I had been right. I expected the 5th to be the same. We made planetfall in the capital Skolum district at the 16th hour. The architecture was old imperial, buttresses and stained glass, stone worn smooth by centuries of prayer. Beautiful, in the way that absolute faith always is. The streets should have been empty at that hour, students confined to dormitories, priests conducting evening vespers. Instead, thousands filled the plaza outside the Cathedral of St. Margrave. They weren't rioting, weren't chanting. They stood in absolute silence, faces upturned toward the cathedral's central tower. Waiting. I had seen crowds before, angry mobs, panicked refugees, cultists in the grip of possession. This was different. This was anticipation so pure it had weight. Inquisitor, Carius murmured beside me. His hand rested on his bolt pistol. This feels wrong. Everything about this feels wrong. I agreed. That's why we're here. We pushed through the crowd. No one stopped us. No one even looked at us. Their attention remained fixed on the tower, where a single figure stood silhouetted against Meridian's setting sun. The cathedral's archdeacon met us at the entrance. Mortius Kane, 70, 3 years old, 30 of them in service to this cathedral. His file described him as rigid, traditional, suspicious of innovation. The kind of priest who would report potential heresy immediately. He looked like he hadn't slept in days. Inquisitor Vex, he said. His voice was hoarse. Thank the Emperor you've come. I've been for weeks now, uncertain. Tell me about the manifestation, I said. He led us through corridors lined with devotional art. Saints and martyrs, rendered in gilt and glass. The cathedral was maintained at 14 degrees. Cold enough to preserve ancient texts. Cold enough to remind the faithful that comfort was not the purpose of faith. It began 2 months ago, Kane said, during morning prayers. Novice, Sister Celestine Varro was attending service when she collapsed. We thought it was illness. Exhaustion from study. When she woke 3 hours later she was changed. Changed how? She spoke of visions. The Emperor upon his throne. The Primarchs before the heresy. Things she couldn't possibly know. Details from sealed texts. From archives she had no access to. I questioned her extensively. She answered with precision that suggested genuine revelation. Not mere memorization. We climbed a spiral staircase. The stone was worn smooth in the center, rougher at the edges. 10,000 years of faithful feet, always stepping in the same places. Tradition made physical. The healings began a week later. Cain continued. Brother, Lexicanus Tauren was dying of blood plague, incurable. We prepared his final rites. Celestine placed her hands on his head and prayed. The plague vanished. Completely. I examined him myself. No trace of infection, no scar tissue. As if he had never been ill. Psychic healing, I said. That's not evidence of divinity. That's evidence of unsanctioned psycho activity. I know what psychic healing looks like, Inquisitor. This was different. There was no effort, no concentration. She simply prayed, and he was whole. Since then, she's healed 47 people. Broken bones, organ failure, 1 case of advanced cancer, all cured through prayer alone. We reached the top of the stairs, a simple wooden door, unadorned except for the ocular carved into its surface. Cain stopped before opening it. I need to know, Inquisitor, he said quietly. I've served the Emperor my entire life. I've burned heretics. I've exposed corruption. I know the forms daemons take. I know how chaos mimics faith. But this, I've watched her for 2 months. I've found no trace of corruption, no mutation, no psychic taint, nothing except absolute devotion to the Emperor and inexplicable miracles. Is that enough? Or am I blinded by wanting to believe in something pure? That's what I'm here to determine, I said. He opened the door. The tower chamber was circular, perhaps 20 meters across. Windows on all sides offered a view of the entire city. The setting sun painted everything in amber and crimson. In the center of the chamber, kneeling in prayer before a simple altar, was Celestine Varro. She was young. 23 according to her file. Dark hair cut short in the novice style. The robes of her order, plain white, without decoration. Nothing remarkable about her appearance except the light. It wasn't metaphorical. There was actual light emanating from her skin. Faint, golden, like candlelight seen through parchment. It pulsed in rhythm with her breathing. She turned when we entered. Her eyes were brown, completely human. No mutation, no corruption that I could see. Inquisitor Vex, she said. Her voice was calm. I've been expecting you. The Emperor showed me your arrival in my visions 3 days ago. You've come to test me. To determine if I'm his instrument or the enemy's corruption. I welcome your scrutiny. Truth fears no investigation. I had interrogated thousands, learned to read micro-expressions, vocal stress, the subtle tells that separate lies from truth. She showed none of them. No nervousness, no defensiveness. Just calm acceptance. Tell me about your visions, I said. She stood. The light around her brightened slightly, then dimmed to its previous level. They began 2 months ago. During morning prayers, I saw the Emperor as he was during the Great Crusade. Not as the priests describe him, distant, unknowable. I saw him as a father. Tired, wounded by what his sons had become. He showed me the heresy, not from the history texts, from his perspective. The moment he learned of Horus's betrayal, the choice he made on the vengeful spirit. What choice? To die, she said simply. He could have killed Horus without the duel. Could have unleashed his full power and erased the Warmaster from existence. But that would have shattered the webway portal completely, would have doomed Terra to eternal daemon invasion, so he chose to limit himself, chose to be wounded, chose the throne. He sacrificed his life in motion for humanity's survival in stasis. That's what the vision showed me. That sacrifice is the foundation of faith. She recited details that matched sealed inquisitorial records. Events from the siege of Terra known only to the highest authorities. Either she had access to information impossible for a novice, sister to obtain, or the visions were genuine, or something was feeding her the information to make her convincing. Show me the healing, I said. I cannot summon it, she said. It comes when there is need, not when there is demand. I am not the source of the power. I'm only the channel. But if you wish to test me, I offer myself willingly. Examine me. Use whatever tools the Inquisition possesses. If there is corruption in me, I would know it before it spreads. I nodded to Carius. He produced a psioculum, a device that detected warp resonance. He scanned her thoroughly. The device remained silent, no psychic signature, no daemonic taint, nothing. We tested her blood for mutation markers. Negative. We subjected her to theological examination, questions designed to reveal heretical belief. She answered each one in perfect accordance with imperial doctrine. We placed her before a sanctified skull, reliquary of Saint Macharius. If she bore chaos taint, the holy relic would react. Nothing happened. We tested her for 6 hours. Every test came back clean. I don't understand, Carius muttered as we reviewed the results. She manifests impossible abilities. She glows with visible light. She knows things she shouldn't know. But every test says she's pure. How is that possible? 2 explanations, I said. Either she's genuinely what she appears to be, a saint in the making, or the corruption is so sophisticated that our tools cannot detect it. Which do you believe? I looked at the readings again, looked at Celestine, who knelt in prayer, untroubled by our scrutiny, looked at the crowd still gathered in the plaza below, their faith visible in their stillness. I don't know, I said. And that terrifies me more than certainty ever could. We stayed for 3 days. I observed her constantly, watched her heal a child with a crushed spine, watched her pray for 18 hours without food or water, never wavering, watched her speak to the faithful with words that reinforced loyalty to the emperor, never deviating into cult behavior or personality worship. On the 3rd day, she approached me in the cathedral archive. I was reviewing records of historical saint manifestations, searching for patterns that might guide my decision. You're afraid? She said. I'm cautious. No. She sat across from me. The light around her was dimmer here, almost imperceptible. You're afraid. I can see it. You've found no evidence of corruption. Your tools say I'm pure. Your instincts say the same. But you can't accept it because accepting it means accepting uncertainty. And uncertainty is the one thing the Inquisition cannot tolerate. The Inquisition exists because certainty is necessary, I said. We face enemies that corrupt through doubt. If I accept you as genuine without absolute proof, I risk allowing something terrible to take root. If I burn you and I'm wrong, I murder someone innocent. Both choices have consequences I must live with. Then you understand the Emperor's burden, she said quietly. On the vengeful spirit, he faced the same choice. Kill Horus with certainty and damn humanity, or wound himself and hope his sacrifice would be enough. He chose hope over certainty. That's what faith is, Inquisitor. Acting righteously when you cannot be certain of the outcome. That's easy to say when you claim direct revelation. I claim nothing. I offer what I've been given. The visions come whether I will them or not. The healing happens whether I understand it or not. I am as uncertain as you are. I wake every morning wondering if today is the day the visions reveal themselves as lies. If the light is corruption I simply cannot see. I live with the same doubt you do. The difference is that I've chosen to serve anyway. She stood. The Emperor showed me your future, Inquisitor. Not all of it. Just enough. You will face a choice soon. Not here, not with me, but soon. And you will have to decide if righteousness requires certainty, or if faith means acting without it. I pray you choose wisely. She left me alone with the records and my doubt. That night, I made my decision. I summoned Archdeacon Kane and my interrogator to the tower chamber. Celestine knelt before us, waiting. I have completed my investigation. I said, I have found no evidence of corruption, no taint, no heresy. Every test confirms your purity. Every observation suggests genuine faith. By all measures available to me, you appear to be what you claim, a vessel of the Emperor's will. Hope flickered in Kane's eyes. Celestine remained impassive. However, I continued, the absence of evidence is not evidence of absence. Chaos is patient. Corruption can lie dormant for years before manifesting. The enemy has had 10,000 years to learn how to deceive us. I cannot risk the possibility, however remote, that this is a trap. What are you saying? Kane asked. I'm saying that my duty is clear. When uncertainty exists, the Inquisition errs on the side of caution. Always. The risk of allowing corruption to spread outweighs the risk of destroying something pure. It is not a choice I make lightly. It is simply the only choice that guarantees humanity's safety. Celestine closed her eyes. I understand. You will submit to execution, I said. Death by burning, as befits potential demonic taint. Your ashes will be scattered, your name struck from the records. The faithful who followed you will be observed for signs of corruption. But I do not believe them tainted, merely missiled by something that mimicked divinity convincingly. No, Kane said. His voice shook. Inquisitor, I've served the Emperor for 30 years. I know corruption when I see it. This is not corruption. This is faith made manifest. You're making a mistake. Perhaps, I said, But it is a mistake that protects humanity. That is my responsibility, not to be right, to be certain that if I'm wrong, the error favors survival. Carius said nothing. His face was carefully neutral, but I saw his hand tremble slightly before he steadied it. Celestine opened her eyes. I do not blame you, Inquisitor. You serve as you were taught, as you must. But I ask one thing before I die. What? Pray with me, not as Inquisitor and heretic, as two souls uncertain of their path. Pray with me that the Emperor guides us both to righteousness, whatever form that takes. I should have refused. Should have maintained professional distance. Should have treated her as a threat until the moment of execution. Instead, I knelt beside her. We prayed together for an hour. The words of the Imperial Creed, spoken in unison. Her voice never wavered, never pleaded, never tried to convince me to spare her. She simply prayed with absolute conviction, and I found myself envying that certainty even as I prepared to destroy it. When we finished, she stood. I'm ready. They built the pyre in the cathedral plaza at dawn. 10,000 faithful gathered to witness. I expected outcry, expected riots. Instead, there was only silence. They watched as we bound Celestine to the stake, watched as I read the charges aloud, watched as I lit the promethium-soaked wood. The flames rose quickly, clean, hot, merciful as burnings go. Celestine did not scream. As the fire consumed her, she spoke. Her voice carried across the plaza despite the roar of flames. Forgive them, for they know not what they do. Then her voice failed. The fire took her. I watched until there was nothing left but ash and smoke. The crowd dispersed in silence, no anger, no grief, just acceptance. As if they had expected this all along. Archdeacon Kane approached me as my stormtroopers scattered the ashes. He looked older, broken. You made a mistake, he said quietly. But I understand why you made it. The Inquisition taught you that certainty is safety, that doubt is weakness. That when you cannot be sure, you must choose destruction. I pray the Emperor forgives you. I pray I'm wrong and you're right. I pray those ashes are corruption purified and not innocence murdered. He walked away before I could respond. We left Meridian Vista that afternoon. Carius said nothing during the journey back to our ship. Neither did the stormtroopers. They had seen me execute suspected heretics before. This should have been routine. It wasn't. 3 weeks later, the reports began. Brother, Lexiconist Tauren, the first person Celestine healed, relapsed. The blood plague returned. He died within days. The child with the crushed spine, the healing failed. She lost the use of her legs again. 47 healings reversed. 47 people returned to their previous states of injury and illness. As if the miracles had never happened. Not proof of corruption. Proof that whatever power she channeled died with her. I filed the incident report mechanically, logged the execution, cross-referenced it against patterns of known demonic activity, found no matches. Celestine Varro was listed as potential saint manifestation, status, terminated, threat level unconfirmed. 6 months passed. I investigated 3 more cases, exposed 2 genuine cults and executed their leaders, saved a subsector from Junastila corruption. The work continued. Righteous, necessary, certain. Then the visions began. I do not claim revelation. I am not a psyker. I am not touched by the divine. But I dream, and in my dreams I see her, Celestine Varro, standing in golden light, her face unmarred by the flames that consumed her. She does not speak. She simply looks at me with those brown, completely human eyes. Sad, understanding, forgiving. I wake from these dreams uncertain, not of my duty, not of the necessity of the Inquisition's work, but of something deeper. The Emperor protects. That is the foundation of our faith. But what does protection mean? Does it mean eliminating every possible threat, regardless of cost? Does it mean choosing death for the uncertain over risk for the faithful? Does it mean that righteousness requires us to burn the potentially pure to guarantee we've burned the certainly corrupt? I do not know, and I am terrified that the not knowing is what the Emperor requires of me. 42 years I have served, 17 worlds investigated, thousands executed, billions saved through decisive action. I believed every death was necessary, believed that certainty justified any cost, believed that the Inquisition's purpose was to eliminate doubt. Now I understand. The Inquisition's purpose is not to eliminate doubt. It is to act despite it. To make impossible choices when certainty is unavailable. To bear the weight of consequences that may be righteousness or may be murder, and to continue serving anyway. Celestine told me I would face a choice. She was right. Today, I received a new summons, another potential saint manifestation, another investigation, another decision to make with incomplete information and stakes measured in souls. I will go. I will investigate. I will use every tool available to determine truth. And if I cannot be certain, I will have to choose. I do not know if I will choose correctly. I do not know if Celestine was divine or if something terrible wore her face. I do not know if the Emperor guided my hand when I lit that pyre or if I murdered innocents, because I was too afraid to hope. What I know is this: I am Inquisitor Hadrian Vex. I have served for 42 years. I will serve until death takes me or the Emperor judges my work complete. I will make impossible choices with insufficient information, because that is what the Inquisition requires. I will bear the weight of uncertainty, because certainty is a luxury humanity cannot afford. I sleep poorly now, but I sleep. And in my dreams, Celestine Varro stands in golden light and forgives me for something I may or may not have done. That forgiveness is harder to bear than any condemnation. The Emperor protects. I believe that. I must believe that. But I wonder, in the hours before dawn when sleep escapes me, who protects us from the choices we make in his name? Who forgives the righteous when righteousness and correctness diverge? Who bears witness when faith requires us to act without certainty? I have no answer, only questions. And the terrible knowledge that tomorrow I will face another choice. And the day after that, and the day after that, until the work is done, or I am. The Emperor protects. I pray that includes protecting us from ourselves. I am still alive, still serving, still making impossible choices. But I think of her every day, the saint I burned, the corruption I may have cleansed, the miracle I may have murdered. And I wonder if doubt is not the enemy the Inquisition taught me it was. Perhaps doubt is the only thing that keeps us human.